I'm Sebastian St. James. Why are dividends in Australia so much better? How do I get $96,000 in dividends? And can I marry you? What? Who wrote this? In Australia, the average dividend yield is 4.5%. Massive! Wow! When it comes to retirement, there is this 4% rule, and you can just cover that in dividends alone. That's the average amount in Australia, not the highest. In the US, the average dividend yield for the S&P 500 is 2%. 2%? 2%? Come on, America, you're not even trying. This means Australians are getting more money than Americans. And this makes Australians hotter than Americans. Shark bites in the US in 2021 were 42% higher than in 2020. 42% in 1 year. The total shark attacks in the United States, 1,106. In Australia, only 646. That's 50% lower. The fatal attacks in the US were 37 and in Australia, 260. What? That can't be right. More Australians killed each year by sharks than Americans. 1,106, yeah. Only 37 deaths. As I was saying, the US has toothless, wimpy sharks. Plus, Americans don't taste nice to eat. And if you don't want to be eaten by a shark, then for heaven's sake, do not come to Australia. As I was saying, the average dividend in Australia is 4.5%, in the US, 2%, but how does this compare with the world? What do you mean? The US isn't the world? The whole world on average pays 2.9% in dividends. The US, you're falling behind, only 2%. But why does Australia have one of the highest dividend yields in the whole world? Firstly, let's look at dividend payout ratio. Payout ratio is the amount of profit which is distributed in dividends. 80% payout ratio would mean for every dollar in profits, 80 cents would go out to your dividends and the company retains 20 cents in future earnings. If we look at the graph, the ASX 200, which is the Australian stock market, has a payout ratio of nearly 80%. Whoa! The S&P 500 is around about 55% and the Nasdaq much lower. Naturally, if you're paying more of your dividends, a greater percentage, out to your shareholders, then the amount in your dividends is going to be a lot higher. Next, it's the industries. Australians' shares are very skewed. Which this way or this way? This way. What this means is they do not have all industries, all sectors equally like perhaps in other countries. For example, tech in Australia is very, very small as an industry. By contrast, in the US, tech is huge. Google, Facebook, all of these dominate your share industries. Apple in Australia, well, we basically don't have that. Let's compare the ASX 200 and the sectors that we have primarily to the ACWI, which stands for the All Country World Index. Australia versus the world. Infotech, as I just stated, hardly any at all, so that goes to the left. Communication services, consumer discretionaries and industrials, we hardly have any. What we do have plenty of though in Australia is mining, materials. Australia is very naturally rich in things that you can get out of the ground, and that well and truly dominates our stock market. Second one is financials. We have 4 rather large banks in Australia, and I do mean rather large banks, to the point where virtually all Australians is going to bank with one of those 4. That's probably unheard of in the US. Lastly, if you look to the graph on the right, it is real estate. Australian real estate is really expensive. By contrast, houses, property in the US is rather cheap from our perspective. I know, you're thinking, oh, average house price, $500,000. In a regional, a tiny little town in Australia, that's about what you're paying. In the capital cities, it's twice that much. Think of the property prices in Australia being like Silicon Valley in the US, only it's all our capital cities are just like that. The concentration of stocks. Now, in the US, you have some massive companies, Apple, Microsoft, Google, etc. But as a proportion of your overall stock market, they're actually fairly tame in comparison to Australia. Apple, your largest company, is only 3.7% of the S&P 500 index. By contrast, in Australia, CSL, which is Commonwealth Serum Laboratories, they make blood products, is 10.2% of our index. That's like multiple Apple companies stacked on top of each other. One company, 10.2%. Next, we have the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, CBA, our largest bank, at 9.54%. And in comparison to Apple's 3.77%, we're like 3 apples in size. Next is BHP at 7.77%. BHP, a mining company. You'd expect it to be right up there. Next is the Westpac Bank at 5.05%. So this is our second bank, and it's still larger than the proportion that Apple takes up in the American index. At 4.64, we have National Australia Bank, bank number 3. Still larger than Apple. At 4.17, there is the ANZ Bank. That's our 4 big banks right there for you. And it's not till we get down to Woolworths, which is our largest supermarket chain, till we get to the same proportion as Apple. Our supermarket is the same size as proportion as is Apple. Wow. In the US, your 10 stocks by size is 15.93% of your index. In Australia, 55.42. More than half of our capital weighting is in just 10 stocks. That's incredible. How concentrated are the companies in Australia? It's a totally different market to the US. Let's say hypothetically I wanted to earn $96,000 per year in dividends. How would I go about that? Why did I choose $96,000? Well, it's well above average, and for most people, if they got an income, passive income, of $96,000, they'd be more than happy and have no financial problems. With my broker, I ran a stock screen. So this was overnight. This is current information as this video is going out. What this represents is the highest dividend yield stocks in Australia right now, right this minute. Cog Financial Services has a dividend yield of 40.08%, 2.5 shares, and I've got my money back. Wow. Regal Investment Fund brings back 26%. Let's go down the list. 22%, 18%, 17%. These are some massive payout stocks, absolutely huge. So what do I think of these companies? Well, some are good, some not so good. We're not talking about the quality of the companies here, we're talking about the dividend yield only. Whether you like these types of stocks is purely up to you. Let's run the numbers. If I wanted to earn $96,000 per year just out of dividends in these stocks, how would I go about it? How much money would I need to get that amount in dividends? If you put it all in Cog Financial, it'd be $235,294. That's not a lot. Most people would retire with a lot more than that, and you can come back with $96,000 in dividends. Do you trust the company though? That's entirely up to you. If you put in Regal Investment Fund, you need $358,000. Yeah, still manageable. As we go down the list, 425 grand, 493, 544. So if you do trust these high yield dividend paying companies, you can see you can make a lot of money for relatively small amounts that you put in, but it does depend whether these companies are stable and trustworthy. That's something you'll have to research. Well, this is impressive, but why does Australia pay more in dividends than virtually any other country in the whole world? It comes down to favourable tax treatment. That's really what's behind this. Favourable how? Franking credits, also known as imputation credits, is the amount that the company has already paid in tax themselves as a company, which is credited to you as a shareholder. Let's say you own one of our big miners, BHP. BHP pays 30% in tax already before they give it out to you. That makes sense. Companies have to pay tax, right? But then the credit for the amount of tax that they've paid actually goes directly to you. If you own 45 grand up to 120,000, then that covers most of Australians, and your tax rate is going to be 32.5%. So you owe 32.5% in tax, but your company has already paid out 30%. That leaves you only 2.5% left over that you have to pay personally. 2.5%, that's not bad. So this eliminates double taxation. So the company pays its tax, and therefore you don't have to. The only amount of tax that you have to pay is anything in addition, but it's really only taxed once at your personal tax rate. But even better, if you earn less than $18,200, your tax rate is nil, nothing. That's called the tax-free threshold. Of course, the company's already paid out 30% before they give that dividend to you, so what happens then? So BHP has paid out 30% in tax. You should have paid out 0% in tax, right? So you send the Australian government a bill to get back that 30% in tax. I am not kidding. I am not making this up. So how do I go about sending the Australian government a bill? Please pay me money. Well, you do it in your tax return. You put in the amount that you've earned in dividends, you put in your franking credits. In other words, how much the companies that you have dividends from have already paid in tax. And if the imputation credits is higher than the amount of tax that you owe personally, then the government will refund that into your bank account. So, in the example where you owe no tax at all, if you're below the tax-free threshold, then they will give you back 100% of the tax money that that company has paid out. You get it all in cash. You can see why pensioners, retirees love dividends in Australia. They're absolutely amazing. So that's why Australians love dividends. It's pretty obvious now. And with our love of dividends, companies are more than happy to feed this love. And the companies which pay higher dividend payouts, more money in dividends, are favoured. A lot of Australians, particularly retirees, but Australians right across the board, love to buy companies that have high dividend yields. So if you're not an Australian, how do you bill the Australian government to get your tax back if you don't even live here? There's only one way. You have to marry an Australian. Move here, then you get the same tax advantages on dividends that we do. So if you're interested in dividends and how they work, click on this previous video I did, which will tell you everything you need to know about dividends.